Hi, my name is Fatu Olshansky, and in the following slides, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the ResLife team. As you can see from our organizational chart, the ResLife team is made up of several different tiers of staff. So we have our RAs who live in the halls, and then they're supervised by a ResLife coordinator and an area coordinator. And then I have my leadership team, the associate directors, assistant director, admin support, and then myself. So we all work collaboratively to support your students. Speaking of the ResLife leadership team and support, you can see us all here on the slide, and we all work together in various roles. So Corey is obviously the executive director, and he's responsible for both housing and residence life. My name is Fatu, like I said earlier, and I'm the director of ResLife. So I usually tell folks it's once your students get here on campus and they're moved in, that's where my team and I take over. Sarah's our associate director of residential student development, so she oversees most of the live-in staff. She and I split some of that supervision, but she is the fearless leader, and she also works together with our student conduct office, supporting students in some decision making and support there. Hannah Elliott is our Assistant Director for Residential Engagement and Staff Training. And so she works with our residential curriculum, making sure that our students are learning outside of the classroom while they're living with us. We know that they spend quite a bit of time here in housing, and so we are really intentional in some of our learning outcomes with the students. She's also responsible for staff training, so training the resident assistants and the area assistants to make sure that they understand some of the theoretical framework of why we do what we do, and also just the day-to-day logistics of how to be on call and so on and so forth. And so she'll talk a little bit further into this presentation about what she does. Crystal McIntyre is our Assistant Director for Operations Selection and Leadership. And so Crystal is over our move-in process. She also works with our fire alarms, making sure that move-out goes smoothly, health and safety inspections, that sort of stuff. She also is responsible and works with a team on selection, so that's student staff selection. So RA recruitment usually starts kind of kicking off in October with interviews in November. So it's a little earlier in our process. And then lastly, Crystal is also, responsible for leadership. So that's working with our Residence Hall Association and their advisors, and then doing some programmatic things within the halls to help our students develop their leadership skills. Jeff Wong is our admin coordinator, and Jeff, he really just helps keep us together. And so paperwork, travel paperwork, making sure that our procurement orders get done, staff vouchers, that sort of stuff. He makes sure that we stay on our P's and Q's. And then Ryan Martin is our graduate ResLife coordinator, and he's been with us since he was a first-year student, and he became an RA, and so he's been with us quite a long time and just helps with various committees and leadership support as needed. All right, so our area coordinators are professional staff members who have 2 to 5, 6 years of experience in residence life. And so they live in the residence halls and supervise the ResLife coordinators, or I should say serve as leads to the ResLife coordinators, and then supervises the RAs. So Ian is in Parkside North, Sandy is in Parkside Central, which also houses our first gen community. Latrice is in Parkside South, which also houses our Black and Pan-African Scholars House. Tori is in Hillside, and that houses our Pride and our Honors communities. Patrick is in Hillside West, which is buildings A, D, C, E, F, and I House. I forgot to mention that Tori has Los Alamitos, Los Cerritos, and B building. And then last but not least, Carmen has Beachside, so Pacific and Atlantic Halls, and she also works with our transfer communities. And then underneath each of their names, you can see the committees that they all work on. So these are the folks who are on that second tier of on-call, and they help support any emergencies that come up, and help handle some of those larger situations if any arises. They also are the chairs for our various departmental committees here in Residence Life. All right, so these are ResLife coordinators. ResLife coordinators have anywhere from just out of grad school to 3 years of full-time experience. And so they live in the halls and they help supervise the RAs and the day-to-day management of their various communities. So Chris Bedoyan, Chris is in Parkside North, and he will work with Ian. Miguel is at Parkside Central working with Sandy with buildings M, N, P, and Q. Joe is in Parkside South with Latrice over buildings G, H, J, K, and L. And the Black Pan African Scholars House. Zach is in Hillside East with Tori. So those are Los Alamitos, Los Cerritos, and B building, working with Honors and Pride Community. Matilda is in Hillside West. So those are buildings A, D, C, E, F, G, and I House, working with Patrick. And again, last but not least, Sarah is in Beachside, working with Pacific and Atlantic Halls and supporting the transfer community with Carmen. So we are really excited for our ResLife coordinators, and they will be putting on events and programs and supporting your residents on a day-to-day basis. Our counselor in residence is Dr. Clarissa Green, and she'll be introducing herself a little bit later in the slide, but we are so excited to have Dr. Green. She is an asset. She works closely with our residential students and staff to support them as various situations come up or where they might need support. She's also able to refer folks to the various counseling groups on campus and so on. So her office is located, it's normally located in Los Alamitos Hall. This semester she is located remotely, but will up in main campus, but will be returning to her office hopefully in the spring semester. So our resident assistants are student leaders who live within the buildings, and these are students who have decided to, answer that call of service to be role models and resources to the residents who live on campus. And so they go through extensive training. They're in training right now. This is early August, and so they do about 2.5 weeks of training, and then they prep for move-in and beach days. So we train these folks on how to help manage roommate mediations and plan really fun events and game nights and that sort of stuff with your residents with your students to attend. This is a very selective process, and so we are excited about the caliber of student who applies and is accepted to this position. Please have your students be on the lookout for postings for the RE position in fall semester. We usually get started in about October with interviews in November. That's normally how we operate. It is a great gig, so leadership development and skills, working on a team, things that most employers really want folks to have: critical thinking, emergency response, that sort of stuff. Part of the compensation for being a resident assistant is room and board, and so in exchange for the services that they provide, we provide them with that. So it's a great position. I was an RA, and that really shaped who I am and my career path. So we highly encourage folks to apply. Folks sometimes think that you need to be a super extrovert to be an RA, and you don't. We need a mixture of folks. We just need students who are able and willing to talk to students, willing to learn and try new things. So hopefully we will see a lot of applications this year. Our desk assistants are another position here in Housing Residence Life. They are supervised by our housing admin support coordinator and in collaboration with the live-in staff. And so these are campus paid positions, and they do various things like mail and package, sorting and logging. They handle checkouts, lockouts. So when I say checkouts, we have things like games and pots and pans and cleaning supplies and that sort of stuff that students can check out. They also keep an eye on social spaces and make sure that everything's going well. Right now we are fully staffed, but students should keep an eye out for position postings. That usually takes place at the end, well, around, I would say, November-ish, if we have any openings for the spring, and then we usually get started again around March or April for the following year. So look out for more information about that. And for our DAs, again, we're looking for folks who are able to talk to folks, to be respectful, provide good customer service, organize, pay attention to detail, friendly and helpful folks, people who can arrive on time and are reliable. And so, yeah, we love our desk assistants. They're usually the first kind of group of folks that students get to meet when they come to campus. So please look out for them and stop by the desk if you need anything. One of the things that our staff does is ResLife has multiple tiers of on-call. So there is staff available 24/7, 365 to handle any emergencies, conflicts, or any other situations that come up. So the RAs serve on that first tier of on-call, and they do rounds and hold an on-call phone every night. And then there's a tier above that, which is our ResLife coordinators. So the RAs can call up to them if they have any issues. And then the area coordinators are on call above them. And then me and my leadership staff are on call. So the phone numbers for the RAs are posted throughout the residence halls. We don't post any of those other numbers because we go through a chain of command. But if there's anything that comes up, please have your student call the RAs. We also have our police department that's also open and on call 24/7, 365. So there is always someone around for support.